Hello students, welcome back to the session where we were discussing about the database concepts, right? In the last session we were talking about the types of architecture. So how many types of architectures are there? There are 3 types of architecture. That is your one tier architecture, 2 tier architecture and 3 tier architecture. Now what is this tier? Tier is nothing but layer, the different layers. So a tier can also be referred to as a layer. So there are certain characteristics of a layer or a tier that you are supposed to remember. So the characteristics of layers or tiers. First point that you are supposed to remember is a layer should be able to construct separately without depending on the others. You should be able to construct the layer, and each layer should contribute something different, not the same as everyone. It has to give something to the whole system. Something different should be there in the whole system, and there has to be some boundary between the layers so as to differentiate between one layer and the another layer, and it should not be able to operate independently. That is, it has to see who will be affected by any changes that it does. It should not be able to operate independently without interacting with the other layers. That is very important. Without interacting. After interacting, it can act, but without interacting, it should not act. So these are the characteristics of the layers. A few characteristics. So it should be able to operate or construct separately. It should contribute something different to the whole system. There must be some sort of boundary between one layer and another layer, and each layer should not be able to operate independently without interacting with the other tiers. Now coming to your first, that is your one tier architecture. So what do you mean by this one tier architecture is, in this a user will directly interact with the database. So this is the system and user. So user directly interacts with the database without any tools. So whatever the changes the user makes, it is directly implemented in the database also. So they are very simple and direct. The advantages is it is very simple and also it is direct. So these are the applications that can be installed and run on a single computer. The next is a two-tier architecture. So what happens in this two-tier architecture is similar to your one-tier architecture, but the only difference is you have your database here. Okay, this is your database tier, and you have your clients here. This is your client tier. All these are your clients. Okay, you have interacting. There is one difference layer between the database tier and the client tier. Client can be more than one also. So this software architecture is the one in which there is a presentation layer or interface that is between the client layer and the data layer, and data is stored in the database tier. So separating the two components represents a two-tier architecture. Here the application runs on the client system and it interacts with the server. So the database tier will not be knowing who exactly is using the data that is taken out from it. It can be anyone, either this client, client number 1 or client number 2 or client number 3, anyone. So that is your two-tier architecture. And the next is your three-tier architecture. In this is commonly used, widely used client server architecture because it allows independent access of each layer. So as you already know, client, we are talking about client and server. So who is a client? It is nothing but the workstation that gets the work from the server, that asks anything from the server. So who is the server? Server is a high speed computer system. Server is a high speed computer system that provides whatever services the client asks from that. It is similar to your master and slave. So what are the different tiers in a 3-tier architecture? You have one presentation tier. One is your presentation tier. So the end user interacts with this layer and he is not aware, he does not know anything about the other layers. He knows only the presentation layer. So whatever the user wants, he asks from the presentation layer. So user interacts with the presentation layer, and application provides the different views of the database as per the requirements of the user. And the next is your application tier or application layer. It is also known as a middle layer. It comes in between. So it controls the applications that is done by after your processing. So it interacts with the database for the presentation layer. It acts as a mediator between the presentation layer and the database layer. So it is a link between presentation and database. And as we always said, the user is not aware of this application layer. And next is your database tier. So this contains the servers where you are going to store the information. This contains the database servers where the information is stored and got back whenever you want it. It also contains whatever the relationship that exists between them, what are the conditions that you are supposed to follow. All these are present in this tier. So you have your user, or we can go in a horizontal way. You have the user, and user interacts with the what layer? This is your presentation layer. Whatever the user wants, he gets it from your presentation layer. And who does this presentation layer interact with? The presentation layer interacts with the application layer. Application layer, and the application layer again interacts with the database layer. It interacts with the database layer. So these are the different partitions in your 3-tier architecture. So we have 3 types of architectures: 1-tier architecture, 2-tier architecture, and 3-tier architecture. As I told you in the last class, this question is important for 3 marks. Okay, now let us go to the next part of database concept, that is CORD rules. Now what is this CORD rules? Let us not go into detail, we just go just briefly into the points. What do you mean by this CORD rules? CORD rules means you are supposed to follow certain rules when you are going to create a database, and these rules were introduced by a person by the name of Dr. Edgar F. Cord. So he was a mathematician. So these rules are known as your Cord rules. Especially these are used for your relational database, RDBMS, that is relational database management systems. So the rules mainly defines what does a DBMS require, or a relational DBMS require. It specifies the relational model that we are supposed to use to manage the database. So what are those rules? Just if they ask you, keep in mind, maybe 5 rules. There are around 12 rules here. Keep in mind the 5 rules if they ask, which is not very important from the point of view of examination. It's just information that you are supposed to have. So what it starts from 0. It should be capable, that is the RDBMS. As we said, Relational Database Management System. It should be capable of using relationships, relational facilities. That is to show how one data or one record is connected to the other record, or one field or column is related to the other column. So RDBMS should be capable of using the relational facilities to manage the database. That is one rule. And the other rule, that is known as your information rule. Information rule. So all the information that you have in the database, it has to be stored in a table format. It should be stored in the form of a table. So that is by having your rows and columns, you have a table. So this information in the table can be the user data. And rule number 2, that is a guaranteed access rule. That is, all the data that you have must be accessed. That is, you should be able to read all the data, get all the data from the database without any confusion. Get the data without any confusion. So this is got from in your RDBMS, following the rule of the primary key that will come under later. And the next rule is your systematic treatment of null values. Now what is this? This says that the database DBMS has to allow each field to remain null, that is empty. It has to be given option that it can remain empty. So when we are saying empty means null. Null means empty. Okay. So it has to allow each field to remain null. It may have many different meanings. When you say leaving it as an empty, may have many different meanings. You can say that we do not have the data, it is missing, or we do not know, or it is not applicable. Such type of data we can leave null. And rule number 4, that is, it should have an active online catalog. That is, the authorized users, not every user, only the authorized, that is a person who has given permission to use that system, they can access the database by using the query language, that is your SQL, structured query language. SQL means structured query language, where we'll go in detail in the next coming chapter. That is your rule number 4. Next you have your rule number 5. This says that it should have a comprehensive data sub-language rule. That is, it says that at least one relational language, whatever language you use, a relational language, it should have a simple syntax and transaction management facilities. So that means that keep the syntax rules simple so that everybody can access it, understand it, and the to and fro, that is either writing or reading, whatever the data transaction you are supposed to do, it is easier to manage. So let us end this session with this 5 rules. We'll continue with the next of the rules in the next session, because we cannot complete it in this session. Thank you. Let us continue in the next session.